What's up, everyone, and welcome to Nickel City Mafia Sunday night rush hour. Got a good one tonight. It's been a while, Jake. It wasn't since the 24th, where we went live all of first round, and we were pleased. We weren't disappointed like in years past. I think we were okay with the first pick, but maybe you can catch me up on what your thoughts were. I think we were okay. We left that night feeling okay. And
Yeah.
then really some good things happen in the next three rounds. I mean, pleasantly surprised with the whole draft, honestly. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, as the thumbnail says, danger, beware of defense. Offenses this year better be on the lookout because this defensive team, the Buffalo Bills, are going to put on the field this year could be something special. And we're going to talk about that. And all starts up front. Man, we're loaded, Jake, on that defensive line. We are loaded. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Brandon Beans. He got a little upset. We haven't had a chance to kind of talk about that. He got a little upset with one of the shows that the WGR guys put out there, and we'll give our thoughts on that one. We'll talk about the Elijah Moore signing, and then we'll talk about, I don't know, the buzz around town is the movie Sinners. Haley Steinfeld is in that movie with Jordan B. I'm sorry, is it Michael B. Jordan?
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yep, that's right.
Michael B. Jordan, who plays a dual role in that. He plays, it's crazy, the technology these days. He plays, they're twin brothers. Smoke and Stack is their name. So Smokestack, right? One of them, and they're both him. And they're on the screen at the same time. It's like unbelievable. Like, how are they doing this? So the acting was fantastic, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But Jake, it's been a while, man. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Mike. Doing well. Went to Shane Gillis last night here in Buffalo, so that was a lot of fun. It was a sellout crowd and pretty cool. I know there were some high profile people in attendance, and I'll tell you what, I sure partied my butt off last night. So paying for it a little bit today, but we're making it through, and I feel great personally. And other than that, yeah, excited to talk about these picks. I know it's been a while since we've been on. I think the Bills have done some pretty good things over the last week here, that including UDFAs that they signed too. So, yeah, pretty
All right.
excited.
Well, let's see here. I see Weston's out there. Good to see you, Weston. Thanks for joining us tonight. And yeah, if you're joining us tonight, please smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, drop a nickel on that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. It helps the channel grow, and we can't do this without you. So whether you're watching it live with us tonight or catching it on the rewatch, give us your thoughts on everything we talk about tonight. So it always makes it a lot of fun. But Jake, let's get into it. So again, I really feel this defense is going to be something special this year. And let's start with the draft picks, and then we can kind of talk about some of the free agent picks that we also and how that's all going to blend together. But let's start with pick number 30, Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of Kentucky. By the way, it seems like we got a pipeline now to Kentucky.
Yeah.
We had Ray Davis last year. We got the two guys this year, Maxwell Hairston and Deion Walker. And is there another guy I'm missing that we have from Kentucky? Or is it just those three?
Just those for right now.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. So talk to me about Maxwell Hairston and how he's going to make this defense
Well,
a good defense.
yeah, absolutely. So, Ian and I Ian mocked him to the Buffalo Bills in our last mock draft that we did on Nickel City Mafia. No big deal. Pretty cool.
Yep, he hit it.
He did. He definitely did. And I'll tell you what, the more and more we ramped up to the draft, the more and more I was seeing a lot of a Maxwell Hairston pick. And it makes a lot of sense. When you look at what his overall skill set is, he is your prototypical outside zone corner. Now, where he does struggle a bit at times is tackling, and that's okay. We know it's not okay, but we've seen this pattern in the past where Bean will take a, lesser tackler for a better cover corner. And a prime example of that was Trey White. Although he didn't draft Trey White, obviously he worked out pretty damn well in our defense. And by the way, he's back here in Buffalo. So to me, I think it is something that Mad Max will be just fine with, and he'll get better with over time. He's super feisty. I'll tell you what, the guy there's a reason why his nickname is Mad Max. He's out there on the field, and he does get physical, even though, like I said, tackling might not be his strongest suit. But he did come off a shoulder injury this past year. He missed 6 games with that. But what I love, Mike, not only did he run a 4.28 at the combine, jumped 39.5 inches, but the man took 3 pick sixes back to the house. And in total, he had 6 career interceptions. 3 of those were pick sixes. So when you're taking half of your interceptions back to the house, that's pretty damn impressive. By the way, he played in the SEC, the best conference in college football. He matched up against some absolute dogs there. I mean, he went up against the likes of Alabama, Georgia, and a bunch of other Texas and a bunch of other teams every year. So he was tested, and I think he's going to be a really good fit in this defense. And I love the move. And by the way, he shares a name with my daughter. So you got to love that.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, welcome to the show, man. Good to see you. How's the competition? How's the steak cooking competition been going for you? Hopefully,
I like that analogy.
Hopefully, you've been winning some ribbons there. Bean has been robbing the bourbon barrel of Kentucky. Yeah, there's a pipeline now directly to Kentucky.
That's for sure.
So yeah, Ian nailed it. And you know what? He was probably the only guy I saw. Now, he's not the only cornerback that I saw mocked to the Buffalo Bills. You actually had Trey Amos. I saw some Cover One guys do Trey Amos. They really loved him. You had another guy that you really liked as well. Initially, what was that gentleman's name?
Darian Porter.
Yeah,
who I did. I loved him. Yeah.
So, but Ian nailed it. And at first, I was like, Ian, you're taking the smallest guy, and but he's quick, great coverage, and he's a playmaker, Jake, and we could definitely use that. It's always a concern with the tackling, of course. There's been some great corners out there that have not been good tacklers, so it's not the end of the world, and I expect him to improve on tackling under the coaching staff that we have. But again, he's a playmaker. Love that. Great speed. What's he? Is what, a 5? What's his height? 5.
I think he's 5'11", 180.
5'11".
So not too
Yeah,
bad.
not too bad.
Yeah.
I've kind of come to, how me, I'm always like, I want everyone 6 foot, 200 pounds. But, I've been proven that's, it's been proven to me that that's just wrong. Like, look, last year, Kean Coleman, right? But 6'4", 224. And then there's Xavier Worthy, like a stick. He's 178, something like that, wet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, he's not going to hold up. He's not going to hold up to the NFL. And he did. And what, Kean Coleman's the one is out. So there's just certain people, Jake. It's their chemistry, how they're made up. There's players big players that just have injuries. They're injury prone, and there are other players who just don't seem to get injured. So I'm not so worried about the size anymore, honestly. I mean, obviously, if he was 165 playing corner, I'd be a little concerned.
Yeah, that's a little different, right?
Right, a little different. Trucker V, good to see you out there. Did you know that Daryl Portal Jr.'s dad played for the Bills back in the late 90s?
Love that. Yeah. Actually did not know that, Trek. That's pretty darn good.
Good stuff there. Hey, Weston. See you out there.
One.
So good move there. I mean, obviously, we were all wanting early on when we were watching the show, we wanted like a Kenneth Grant. We wanted just a big one of those top defensive tackles. And those guys went quick. I mean, I was shocked when the Dolphins took Kenneth Grant at pick 13?
13? Yeah. Crazy.
So once all that happened, it became apparent based on all the mocks that I've seen, based on our true need of what we needed on that defense. You just knew it was going to be a corner. So it was no surprise to me. It was just a little surprise of who they went with, but I love Hairston. So good stuff there. He's going to be paired up with Christian Benford. We did bring in some depth with Trey White, and we'll see how that, and Dane Jackson. And then, of course, Trek, we got Cam Lewis to do like utility man. He can play anywhere we need him. But depth is a little concern, Jake. I know we brought in Trey White, but he's been struggling the last few years. But you never know. In our system, maybe he's reborn there, right?
I think so. Towards the end of the year last year, too, like you definitely saw an uptick, not only in snap counts, but just better play. And I understand he was playing with the Ravens defense, but it takes a lot to come back from an Achilles injury. And by the way, he tore his ACL before that too.
Yeah.
And if you remember his last time as a Buffalo Bill, he was starting to get back to that prime time Trey a little bit. So, I think we got to give him a little bit of credit just because it's hard to come back from a major injury. And by the way, playing the cornerback position already is probably the hardest position in football. So I think Trey has had his word cut out for him, and he shouldn't be our starting corner or anything like that. But for him to be a rotational piece in this defense, I think it's a good fit. And he's going to be able to mentor these young guys too, which is just invaluable. So I love it.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that, Steve. Dang. Well,
Oh,
let
man.
let us know when you get back into it. And of course, that might free you up for a show maybe with us.
Yeah, right. There we
Let's
go.
hope. Let's hope. All right. So round 2 comes around and we got 2 picks. Day 2 starts and we got 2 picks starting, and it's 56 and 62, something like that we had. And we make a move up the board. We trade away those 2. We make a deal with the Bears. We move up to pick 41 and we take defensive tackle TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. I know you're a big South Carolina fan. And what are you pointing at there? What are you pointing at?
That's my pool table light. And by the way, the pool
Okay.
table cover, also South Carolina Gamecocks.
Beautiful.
So there you go.
So we move up the board there, and we were looking for that big, possibly one tech guy, just a big 330, 340 guy. And we go with a 297. I know we can play a little bit heavier. TJ Sanders. And again, it's another one of those where you look after the fact, you start liking this pick a lot. So talk to us about TJ Sanders.
Yeah, absolutely love the player. Definitely am still curious as to how they will plug and play him and what the fit really is going to be, because really coming out into this whole draft process, I mean, a lot of these experts, if you will, had him slated as a 3 tech in the NFL. Now, we already have Eddie Oliver there, and I think the number one need defensively for us outside of corner was getting a guy that could replace Daquan Jones and play that traditional 0/1 tech role, if you will. So, at first I was a little confused by it. And, I hate feeling, discouraged by a pick, especially from a guy that I really liked, a prospect that I really liked, because there were other guys on the board at that moment, such as like an Alfred Collins that we could have taken that is that more traditional 0/1 tech. So I was confused at first, but I can tell you this. I mean, you look at pad level, leverage, just overall motor and quickness and everything this guy plays with, it is really impressive. And I'm honestly starting to wonder if the Bills' plan is to roll out with more of a, smaller, undersized, more athletic defensive front for the majority of the time, because I do feel like you don't just move up 15 picks to take a guy that's going to be a rotational or role player piece. I would expect him to at least play 65 to 70% of the snaps, I would hope. And that'll probably be next to Eddie Oliver. So, and here's the thing, too. TJ Sanders did play just about every single position on the defensive line at South Carolina. So while he didn't play as much of that 1 tech / 0 tech role this past year, I mean, he has done it. And he played in the SEC. Again, another SEC product here. I think, honestly, looking at it, Mike, the more and more I think about it, I'm getting Kyle Williams-like vibes. And, I mentioned the different fronts that the Bills can roll out here. We took a guy 2 rounds after this that can play that 0/1 tech role, that more traditional position, if you will, too. So I'm really excited. And I'll tell you what, I know we're calling this guy undersized. John Roberts saying that he said, TJ said he's now 310 pounds. I absolutely love to see that. Must have got on the chicken wing diet here as soon as he came to Buffalo. But I love the fact that we're just going to be able to roll out different fronts, and we're going to be super creative with this defense. And again, we're calling him small. The dude's 6'4", 297. He's bigger than Eddie Oliver. He can hold up against these bigger these bigger offensive linemen and get the job done. And do yourself a favor. If you have not watched any tape on him, the only game you really need to watch to know who TJ Sanders is that game against Georgia in 2023. He had a monster day and really put his name on the map with that game and that performance.
Yeah. Check it out. Steve, good point. Many think we drafted Sanders as a 3 tech and Walker as a 1 tech. It may end up being the total opposite. And what I like is like what Jake said. I mean, maybe sometimes he is. Maybe they rotate that. I just love that we're gonna have these different options, and then you add in those defensive ends, those edge guys that we've got now. I mean, we're loaded. So they're
Yeah.
going to be able to do so much up front. It's going to be insane. Let's see, Jessica. Good to see you, Jessica. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to
Good
see
to
you
see you,
back.
Jets.
And so first two picks, we're loving it. We're liking it. And again, I think both of them took us a day maybe to adjust a little bit because it's as a fan, as people that cover the Bills, you always get your favorites, right? You got your favorites on your board. You have your own board, Jake. I have my own board.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, this next guy was on my board from day one. I would have been happy if we took him as a first rounder, second rounder. And after we traded those two picks in the second round, I'm like, it's just not going to happen. Now I know the Bills loved him, loved this guy. That was well known. And again, I tell the story. I didn't even know about this guy until my son, Jonah. Jonah brings him to my attention. Says, "Dad, this guy should be on the Bills." And so, Bean, if you need another scout, my son, he'll take a contract on the cheap, and he'll get you some talent going forward here. But Landon Jackson, dude, couldn't be happier. Again, this is a guy that I had on my radar. Everyone knows it. Been talking about him. When we start doing our mock drafts, I brought that up to you. Talk to us about Landon Jackson because he is incredible.
I think we were all a little in disbelief once the Bills took Landon Jackson. I think you especially are like, wait, really? Did this really happen?
Yes,
And you probably had to verify it with a few different sources.
he did.
Seeing that we got the bad info in round one from our boy
Yeah.
Brett. Shout out Brett. Thanks for letting us know about the Will Johnson pick that, did not happen. But anyways, no, the Landon Jackson pick is fantastic. I think it's great value at 72. It's absolutely insane. And this was really that first name that popped for me where it was like, wow, this guy he was on my watch list too, just because I knew that you wanted him so badly. And I mean, what he brings to the table is just awesome. So much upside. And it was a position that the Bills needed to fill because next year, I guess as of right now, we will technically only have, or we were going to only have about 3 edge players on the roster. So it was a position that needed to be addressed in the draft. And, you couldn't have gotten a better pick here. I think at 72, he was the best player available. He is, you want to talk about like athletic defensive line. This dude is the poster boy for it. 6'6", 264, jump 40 and a half inches, Mike, only second to Myles Garrett all time there with the vertical jump. Absolutely ridiculous. And when the lights were the brightest, he really shined. You talk about what he did against Alabama in 2023. That was insane. I mean, you want to talk about a game to watch for Landon Jackson. If you guys haven't watched tape on some of these prospects, there are specific standout games that I can mention here and just let you know, go watch this one specifically. This Alabama game was crazy. He absolutely destroyed that entire offensive line. They had no answers for him. And then he had a really good day against Will Campbell, who was the 4th overall pick by the Patriots this past season too. So, and he'll be seeing him twice a year, by the way, now too. So, yeah. So I think where he can really improve, honestly, Mike, is, and this is probably why he went in the 3rd round, is just his overall arsenal when it comes to pass rushing move sets. He had received the nickname Two Slaps from some of my buddies down there in Arkansas. And they're big Razorback fans, and they love Landon Jackson, but they just felt like with him, he was just a little too basic. But with some coaching and, obviously polishing up on his technique a little bit, he's going to be able to play in this league. So really, really good pick. I think he's a quality edge pick and a guy that's going to be a future starter here and a quality starter at that. So, yeah, I'm fired up as hell about this one.
Yeah, I love that we're getting these SEC guys. Like he was first team All SEC in 2023, second team All SEC in 2024.
Yeah.
16 sacks, 28 tackles for loss, and that's in his career. And I think the last 2 years he both had 6.5 sacks, 24 and 23. So absolutely love him. Yes, I agree with you. He can work on that arsenal, that pass rush arsenal. But the other beautiful thing about him, he's a great run stopper.
Yeah.
Great run stopper. So, and he's got a nice size, some 264. And then, like you said, the vertical. I mean, if you can't get to the quarterback, get up in the air, and you're going to be knocking down a lot of passes. I feel like our defensive ends are pretty good about that. Epinesa, you got Groot over there, and now you're going to add Landon Jackson. You got Bosa. I mean, again, we're going to talk about Bosa in a little bit when we get to the free agents. But man, that defense, that line is just sounding incredible. And yes, Landon Jackson was an early Christmas present for me. Super excited to have him and see what this young man can do. And I love the emotion. Like Maxwell Harris was as well, very emotional on the call. But Landon Jackson was extremely emotional as well. And he's like telling Brandon Beane, "You're getting an effing dog." As he's in tears, as he's emotional. It's just a guy that's like, wow, all that hard work paid off, and I'm going to give the Bills everything they got. And if you haven't checked it out, I put out a little 5-minute video on Landon Jackson afterwards because it was deserving. And check it out. Talks a little bit more about him. But good stuff. Here we are, 3 picks in, and we're like all on the defense. And if you remember, I know that some people were like, I hope we use one of the picks in the second round for wide receiver. I think early on I said I'd be disappointed if we picked any offensive players in the first 2 rounds, and that's how it worked out. Now, the next one, let's move on here. So the next one was another beautiful surprise. The Bills, I think they move up again. I think they go back, make another move with the Bears. Was that who they went back to get?
I believe
Deion
so.
Walker?
Yeah.
I think it was with Deion Walker. And a lot of the guys on the channel, including Brett, including Trek Reviewer, said we were going to get him. And we did. Here's your guy, Deion Walker, big 331-pounder, who not in 2024, but in 2023, many folks said if he had come out in 2024, he was going to be a first-round pick. Now, I know he struggled a little bit with a back injury last year, and that may have been why he had a little bit of a down season. But and you're always concerned, like back issues don't just disappear. But supposedly he's healthy, and man, gotta love this pick, Jake. Talk to us about Deion Walker, man.
Yeah, you got your wish in round 3. I get my wish in round 4. And round 4, incredible value. I mean, why not? At this point, I love, by the way, my favorite day of the draft is day 3, because this is where you truly find all of your sleepers. Shout out to my beautiful wife, but she decided to get married on day 3 of the NFL draft. And when we were at the altar, Taron Johnson was selected by the Buffalo Bills in the 4th round. So we've had some success in the 4th round with selecting defensive players in general. Yeah, I mean, the Bills made it their mission to take quality, high motor defensive lineman prospects in this draft class. And I think that's exactly what we're getting here. They, with the TJ Sanders pick initially, it was, we didn't add enough size to the defensive line. Well, here's your size, 6'7", 331 pounds of it, by the way. And by the way, I think he actually dropped weight. He was 346 initially, and he lost 15 pounds. So, I think he wanted to get a little bit leaner so he could test a little bit better, which didn't really come to fruition with the combine. But what he did at the Senior Bowl was extremely impressive to me, and I think it put him on the map with a lot of different teams and kind of showcased his ability to play at the next level. And, it is interesting because, you see that size and you're like, yeah, definitely 0/1 tech all day, which, it'll certainly work. But it almost seemed to me like last year, just watching his film and whatnot, it was some inconsistent play. But the farther he moved outside, the more success he had. So I'm curious to see how they utilize him. Now, you just tell this man to put his hands up, it's going to cause some disruption. 6'7". I mean, come on now, what I really do like about him is that he was a captain at Kentucky. He was an all SEC selection. And again, to get a guy with this type of potential in round 4, sure, why not? And you're taking another really good defensive lineman. You're adding some more depth to that room, a room that needed improvement and a room that needs that depth. I mean, the Eagles really laid the blueprint. They are able to go out there and rotate guys, and they get pressure from interior to outside. So this is exactly what the Bills wanted to do. They attacked really strong. And again, another Kentucky prospect, another high motor guy, and another SEC selection here. First 4 picks, all SEC guys.
Yeah, love it. So They don't stop. Bills don't stop. Like, we're going to
Yeah.
continue on the defensive path. Round 5, 170th pick overall, and they take I guess this was this a compensatory pick from
Yeah, I
Dallas?
think it was. Yeah.
Compensatory defensive back Jordan Hancock out of Ohio State. I don't know much about him. I'm sure I know you do. I do love the size, 6.5,
Yeah.
and 195 pounds. So talk to us about Jordan Hancock. Does he
Yeah,
have a
I
chance?
definitely would have. What's that?
Does he have a chance to make this team?
I know that room's getting crowded, right?
Yeah.
So it is interesting. So they listed him as a corner. However, I do think there is a very high consensus that he may switch to safety, which I think our lads actually already has him listed as a safety on the depth chart. So yeah, going to be interesting to see where that kind of how he all fits. As a corner, I think he's more of a nickel corner. As a safety, he's probably playing either strong or I mean, he's going to be a third safety prospect, if you will, where you can sort of rotate him in on dime, if he were to get playing time this year at all. So while I would have preferred his teammate Denzel Burke, who I really really liked, he was on my wish list for day 3 picks. I totally understand going with Hancock just due to his versatility. And John says here, yeah, he'll play safety for the Bills. And the Bills had already said that. So yeah, interesting stuff, definitely. They value versatility. And I think back to guys like Micah Hyde, who the Bills signed with Bean's, initial start here. That's one of the biggest free agent signings that he made was Micah Hyde, who also played more of like that nickel corner, but then made the switch to safety. And obviously had a very successful career there. Then you have guys like Christian Benford, who played both corner and safety, has that background. He plays corner, but same type of thing, right? And then you think of Trek Reviewer's favorite guy in the whole wide world, Cam Lewis, another corner / safety guy that alternates between the both. So they love players that can do both, and Hancock really fits the bill here. He's a really, really good tackler. So I think where he gets the knock on his grades were just the fact that he does struggle sometimes with coverage. But I think in his zone scheme, he can make up for it. He's not afraid to play up at the line of scrimmage. And again, like I said, really good tackler. So it makes up for the lack of tackling that we got in round 1 with Maxwell Harrison. So I like the pick, Jordan Hancock.
Yeah, I do as well. And again, he played for a great team, right? Was he, let me see here. Let me get some a little bit more information here about him. So he played in 42 games in his 4-year career, total 98 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 14 passes defended. 2024 national champion. And in 24, he played a career high 16 games with 48 tackles, 8 passes defense for 2 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and an interception. So again, we're playing. You got these guys coming from these teams that have played at a very high level. So absolutely love this. All right. So finally, with the 6th pick overall for us for the Bills in the 5th round. And first of all, yeah, I think I want to make a comment here. Let's see here. Yeah, so that was a great comment by Jessica saying, I like
love it, Jess.
How productive Walker was in 2023 with subpar SEC D-line talent. So good stuff there. All right, so the Bills finally go over to the offense. And you might be thinking, is this the time they make a play for a wide receiver? Is this it? Now I know some of the guys that we had been looking at, like Dante Thornton, a couple other guys. I think there was a little bit of a run in the 4th round, if I recall,
there was.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Buffalo Bills decided to go tight end Jackson Haas out of Georgia Tech. Played for Georgia Tech in 2024 and started his college career at Yale. He's known to be a great pass blocking tight end. Posted 16 receptions for 195 yards in 12 games at Georgia Tech. And 2023 at Yale, he was named 2nd team All Ivy. So again, not a guy, I mean, we got Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and this is that guy maybe, we do have a third. We already have a very good, I kind of like him. We brought him on later in the year last year. It was a tight end we have currently. The other guy.
Zach Davidson.
Yep. I kind of like him. But talk to me how you see, I mean, is there any hope for this gentleman? I know we love blocking tight ends. But talk to me about what you know about Jackson Haas.
Yeah, there's definitely hope for him. I think there was a legitimate plan to take a blocking tight end because they want to be able to utilize a guy like that in a heavy package and maybe slip him out from time to time when you are in those goal line packages so we can catch touchdown passes. I think of guys like Lee Smith, who, was a great locker room guy here in Buffalo. And, he was instrumental to the success of the locker room early on in Josh Allen's days, so I think they like the tenacity that Hawes brings. He's a tough, gritty guy. The only thing he has to do is really lose those gloves, Mike. I mean, if you're going to be a blocking tight end, you got to just go with the taped fingers. You can't have any type of swag out there. So I'm not a fan whatsoever of that piece. But what I did really enjoy was just the tape that I watched on him was the fact that he's able to play a little bit of H-back even from time to time. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Steve Hyden a little bit, former Cleveland Brown back in the day. But what I liked is, just his ability to block. And the statistics aren't going to wow you whatsoever if you look at his college stats because they're just not there. But what he did as an inline blocker, that more traditional tight end usage was really, really impressive to me. And I think the Bills have a legitimate plan to use him. And based on the opponent that they're playing, they might alternate between, playing either him or Zach Davidson as that third tight end. So to me, at first I wasn't a huge fan of the pick, but the more and more I looked at what this kid did and what he kind of brings to the table, the more and more I was like, all right, I could see a potential plan here. So it makes sense.
Yeah, Steve says our tight end room is the starring cast in the remake of the movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly Western.
I love it. Love it, Steve.
And here's Jessica saying he might also work as a fullback.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, it's I mentioned Steve Hyden, tight end / fullback type of hybrid guy. And by the way, there is a guy on our roster who did play tight end in college and then converted to fullback in Reggie Gilliam. And I don't foresee him leaving at any point soon. Fingers crossed. But who knows? Might be the Reggie Gilliam replacement in the future. Hate to say that.
Who our fullback should be. You remember Fridge Perry, right? So we just picked up the guy in the 4th round, Deion Walker. Let's go.
Now that'd be cool.
Yeah. Fullback. Oh my goodness. Good luck.
Yeah.
But why not?
Yep.
And so good stuff there. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, that would give us, 4th tight end. Davidson, right? The other guy we currently have.
Yeah, Zach Davidson.
I'm not sure I can't remember if he was. I know he's a good receiving tight end. I don't know how he was on the blocking skills, but this is going to be an interesting one to see if he makes the team. I just, I'm not going to call it yet. We're going to get into the training camp and we'll see what the reports are on him. So good stuff there. All right. So Bills, here we go. 6th round. You're like, maybe they're going to go get another wide receiver, get a receiver finally. Nope. They say, nope, we're going back to the defense. Cornerback Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech, played 5 seasons at Virginia Tech. Total 112 career tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 7 interceptions, and 28 passes. Defense in 2024 recorded a career high 32 tackles and added 6 pass breakups and 2 interceptions. And he was named All-CC honorable mention in 2024. In 2023, he became the 2nd FBS cornerback since 2014 with 300-plus coverage snaps. To give up less than 10 receptions, that's impressive, and less than 100 receiving yards in his season. And he was named 3rd team All-ACC in 2023. So a lot of good stuff about this kid. But talk to us a little bit about Dorian Strong.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk, John Robert pointed it out. He's like, I like our first 6th round pick who was graded a 4th round pick. Yeah, I think a lot of folks had a 4th round grade on him. And honestly, I think it could have been a little bit higher. There was just some inconsistencies in college, but there's a lot to love with him, man. Like the length, the tackling ability, the physicality at the line of scrimmage against receivers. His 2024 play was a little bit more inconsistent than it was the previous year. And I think that's sort of why he fell. But I'll tell you what, the Bills really don't miss on corners in these late rounds. So I'm going to put my faith with McBean on this one. They just don't miss on DBs in the late rounds. And, you coach this kid up. He's very raw, but he can be a player in this league. It's not often you get super excited about a 6th round pick, but I'm a little excited about this one. I know it's a very crowded room. It's going to be hard to get time, but but he can play specials, and I know he will. He'll be just fine fitting in with his locker room.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steve. Strong's really good. Did either you get deja vu from Elam Benford first? The
Yeah,
sixth round
yeah,
pick?
it's funny that you say that, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
always good to have to have too many and not need them than to not have enough and need the extra
well,
help. I mean,
yeah, and I hope Steve.
right?
I hope that Dorian Strong is not the starting cornerback over Maxwell Hairston this year. I hope, but hey, if it turned out to be like he turned out to be another Christian Benford, guess we wouldn't have an issue. But it'd be the second big miss on cornerbacks the Bills have had in the last 3 years, so or 4 years. So hopefully
Right.
it's not the case. But I love what you're all saying that he was a fourth round grade, and so good pick there. All right, so the Bills go back to the offense one more time. Like, are we gonna go receiver yet? We going receiver? No, they decide to get some depth piece at tackle. They take Chase Lunt out of UConn, and he played at UConn with current Bills tackle Ryan Vandermark, which is kind of cool. In 2024, he helped the team to a 9-4 record, led an offensive line that helped the running game produce 2,590 rushing yards, second most in school history. So, what do you know about Chase Lunt, if anything, there, Jake?
Yeah, just your prototypical swing tackle prospect. 6'7.5", 304, super tall and lean, and he just fits the bill already because the Bills don't take right tackles that are any shorter than 6'6". So you gotta love it. Yeah, what I really like about him is that he started a ton of games in college. I think it was like 42 total games. And he played under Jim Mora Jr., who is a former NFL coach. His dad coached in the league, got just a great resume of a coaching career with him. So he's quietly building something over there at UConn. But Lunt played with Ryan Vandermark there actually for I believe it was a year or two actually at UConn. What I really liked about Lunt is obviously the ability that he has to bend. Um, you know, I think the fact that he is able to be more of that bendy type allows him to kick inside if need be, even at 6'7.5". The Bills love versatility, especially on the offensive line. And this is one of those picks, it checks everything off the boxes here. So it's good old line depth. I don't think you can go wrong with someone like this in the 6th round. To me, it's a really good fit. And yeah, I like the pick.
Love it. All right. So let's see here. Let me catch up in the chat here. Lunt will be John Roberts saying Lunt will be a practice squad at most.
Yeah. Yep.
And then Steve saying being in this high staff are masters of finding jewels in a junkyard in rounds 5 and 6. This kid is really good. And then playoffs.
Don't talk about playoffs.
All right. Well, let's go. Here we go. 7th round. And the Bills finally go wide receiver, Jake. And I got to tell you, man, you know me, wide receiver. I always talk about size. And for wide receivers, 6 foot and above is perfect. Weight over 200, perfect. Like some speed. This kid ran a 4.46 at the combine. 4.46. Yeah. That's nothing slow. He's what 6'4", 205. Let me see. Let me give you his draft combine. Let's see here. Let's see. 6'3.5", 204 pounds. Ran a 4.46. I'm always interested because this guy's pretty tall, but he has a 30-inch vertical. How does Landon Jackson have a 40.5-inch vertical over a kid like this? And his 10-yard split was pretty good as well, 153. But I don't know what you're thinking here about the young man, Keaton Prather, and out of Maryland.
He's not the most explosive athlete, although he did run 4.46, which is a good time. You see it right there in the vertical, 30.5 inches, which is not great as a receiver, to be honest with you. I mean, I had a higher vertical jump back in the day, believe it or not. I was jumping 33 inches, no big deal, hand up, and that was at most 33 inches. So, but yeah, when you look at Prather, it's going to be interesting to see how the Bills utilize him. He is he's probably going to be the gunner here, right? He's going to take the place of Mac Hollins. I don't think he's going to take the place of him offensively, and play the significant amount of offensive snaps that Hollins did last year. but he will be a guy in contention for that gunner spot. So the Bills always like to take these bigger receivers who are able to play special teams. You look back to like Jake Kumaro and then Mac Hollins, as mentioned. So I think that's the exact fit here for Prather. I don't expect him to see a ton of offensive snaps, if any. I think there's something telling me about this. I don't know what it is, but I feel like he might be Marcus Easley 2.0, which I would be totally fine with, because Marcus Easley, he was a hell of a player back in the day, played with the Bills from 2010 to 2016. UConn might be in my mind. We're talking about Chase Lunt before this pick, Marcus Easley, UConn guy. Maybe that's why I'm thinking about him, but I can kind of see it. When you look at him as a receiver, what really did impress me was body control. But as John mentioned, I think, there's some sloppiness with route running. He does double catch from time to time, has some concentration issues on those deep balls, which is why I actually think he did drop on a lot of boards, because, to me, everything else is pretty decent. Measurables are good. I also did like that he's a pretty good blocker. Did a lot of screens with Ty Felton there in Maryland. So he was always the pick guy, or the guy, kind of getting in front and blocking for Felton on those. So time will tell with this one, but it's round 7, right? So what do you expect? Are you looking for a game changer in round 7? I sure hope not. So we'll see.
Know. Tom Brady still always gives me hope in that regard.
Right.
He gives me Justin Shorter vibes. I just don't see right. I think Justin Shorter was undrafted free agent. I know he was either a very late round. Okay, fifth rounder. So I think, there you go. Justin Shorter, I had a hope for that guy. I did. I was high on him and didn't turn out. So it'll be interesting. I don't think he's practice squad guy, in my opinion. But again, not going to judge anyone until we get in the training camp and start hearing some reports. You never know. Somebody might show up, like Christian Benford did a few years back. Let's see. Yeah, and go ahead, Jake. You brought that up there.
No, I just thought this was interesting. Good comment by Czech Reviewer. He did a few early mock drafts already. He's already getting in the lab on the mock drafts. I love it. They all have Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love going to San Fran, a pick before the Bills pick. Boy, I would love him to fall to Buffalo. Yeah, I do like that kid a lot, and hopefully the Bills are picking at 32 next year, by the way. I mean, that would be the ideal situation, right?
Right. So, exactly.
Yeah.
And John, good point here. Maybe Tyrell Shavers finally makes the 53. Yeah. I'll tell you what, he has shined when he has had some opportunities. I know he took that one to the house from Mitch last year, and always seems to shine in preseason as well and in camp. So maybe Tyrell, I like him. I mean, he's a big guy. He's got some wheels, and he's been with us now for what, 2 years? This will be his third year coming up.
Yep.
So I love that. And Steve saying, in my opinion, this was Bean's best draft by far. And
I like it, Steve.
All right. So on that point, let's bring this all together, right? Offenses beware. Talk to me now about not only the draft pieces that we've added, that Bean's done, and then the picks that he did for free agency. Now, I know 2 of them are going to be out for 6 games, which is a little unfortunate, but it will give some of these rookies more playing time. But talk about the addition of who we took in the free agent, along with these picks, and just how special this defense looks like it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we added an edge guy in Hayden Harris out of Montana, who I actually really like too. I think he can compete at the next level. He played at a smaller school, but he brings a lot of that high motor energy too. Paris Shand out of LSU, that was a nice signing too. UDFA, interior guy. And then there was another kid too, Daryl Porter Jr., who we mentioned earlier on in the show. Familiarity there, just with the positional coach. This kid played at University of Miami, so our Adai, our DB coach, has a ton of familiarity with him, and he can play, I think, both press or zone. So it's a great thing. Yeah, Mike. I mean, it's going to be really, really tough to make this roster as a rookie on the defensive side of the ball if you're not like in those first 4 rounds. I'm really curious to see how this cornerback room shapes out. Right now on the roster, I'm counting. Let's see here. We have 4, 8, see, 11 corners on the roster, according to our lads right now. And then the safety room, too. We have 7 safeties on the roster. And I know right now, you're filling your roster up, but shoot, that's a lot of competition in there. So, and that's not a bad thing to have because the best man's going to win at the end of the day here. And, yeah, there's going to be some guys that I think get cut where it's like, oh, man, you were hoping they would make the team. They're going to go elsewhere and actually probably see some time. So, yeah, I mean, I think the defense got a whole hell of a lot better. That was the goal coming into this offseason. I know people are just praising and hoping to God that we land another receiver that is just unbelievable, right? But to me, you got to solidify that defensive line first off, and then the corners too. I mean, that was the room that needed the most work. And I know you can go back to that game against the Chiefs, that final drive, but shoot, if we were able to do what the Eagles did to Pat Mahomes, we wouldn't have ever even been in that situation. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, Jake, this is early, but look at this starting defense. You got Christian Benford, Gregory Rousseau, Oliver. They got Daquan Jones, but I really feel TJ Sanders or Walker are going to take a lot of that play time away from Daquan. Joey Bosa, you got Bosa there, and then you got talk about the other. I wanted you to talk about the free agents we added, the 2, especially the 2 that are going to be suspended for the 6 games. Talk about them because when they come back, these youngsters will have had time to play a little bit, and then they're also very good players.
Yeah. Ogunjobi is great because he's played every position on the defensive line. He was primarily more of that one tech in Cincinnati. And, what he did in Cleveland was pretty impressive too. Pittsburgh was a different type of defense, but Ogunjobi is going to be a great fit, and he's still got some left in the tank. I mean, he had a decent year last year even. So to me, I felt like, that was a really good signing. I was excited about that one. The Michael Hoyt one, I was intrigued by, a little confused, I guess, initially. But shoot, you look at how the Rams used him last year. I mean, just everything that you can do with him is extremely impressive. I mean, this kid came into the league as a defensive tackle, dropped 30-something pounds, and now he's weighing in at around 270 and just an athletic freak of nature. I mean, the Rams used him in so many just like disguised blitzes and, moving him all around the defensive line, playing him as like an off-ball linebacker at times. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with this kid. And I think that's what really excited the Bills, and that's why they brought him in. So it is going to be unfortunate that we lose those guys for the first 6 games, but they should come back fresh and ready to go.
Yeah.
And, I'm really excited for both of them.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. So all those guys you talked about, I mean, and the Bills do rotate a lot, and that's good and bad in some cases, but you're going to have a lot of fresh guys out there. And man, everything starts up front, right? And if you do what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl or anything even close to that, you make everyone behind you that much better. And we have good players behind them. That's Milano and Bernard. We got Rapp coming back, and it'll be interesting who gets that starting safety job. I hope it's Cole Bishop. We took him as a 2nd-round pick last year, and he got some play time towards the end of the year. But you do have DeMar Hamlin, who's been a starter for us before. We talked about one of the kids that we drafted this year. Got Cam Lewis. I mean, it'll be interesting that second starting safety, who that is. Jake, any thoughts that who you think that might be right now?
John Robert talked about Derek Forrest giving Trey his number back, and some people speculate that Derek Forrest is going to actually be a starting safety for the Buffalo Bills in the near future here. I mean, this kid had 88 tackles and 4 interceptions 2 years ago with the Washington Commanders. Unfortunately, he's had 2 more injury-riddled seasons since, but he's still only 25 years old. I really like his upside. I think this kid can play, and he can play at a high level. He just has to have the opportunity, and he has to be healthy. So I think if there's anyone that you're looking at that can take over that safety spot and maybe replace, I hate to say it, but Cole Bishop or Taylor Rapp, it's probably him. I think he is one of the better signings that we actually had in free agency, and definitely under the radar. But yeah, to me, it definitely should be your 2 safeties going into the year should be Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop all day. Yeah. It should be their job to lose.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, so again, offenses beware. This team, this defense, Bean did a fantastic job on the defensive side. Really reconstructing that a little bit, getting key pieces in there, getting youth in there. It's going to be something special. And again, I couldn't be more excited about some of the guys that we chose. Now, let's go over to Jessica's comment here. Everyone thought Bean had a good draft. Yeah, everyone did. And I think the WGR guys were talking good about his draft. Now, I didn't catch the whole thing, but I did listen. I caught the whole thing when Bean joined the show. And I know the guys were talking good about his draft earlier. They had one complaint, and that was that he didn't go take care of a speedy receiver. And I have thoughts on this whole thing, on how it went down. But Jake, I'm going to throw it to you first to get your thoughts, and then I'll share my thoughts. So Bean joins. So for those that don't know, WGR, basically the sports talk radio in Buffalo. They have sports shows, and I don't know the two gentlemen's name. Do you know the two guys that were doing the show, that do the show on a regular basis?
Yes, it's Jeremy White and Joe DiBiase.
Okay.
Mornings.
So they were doing a show, and I think they were talking to, they were even talking to, it wasn't Marino, but it was somebody else that's a big name in Buffalo coverage. It was Sal Capaccio, wasn't Sal that they were talking to? Now, Sal wasn't on when Bean joined. Again, I don't know what happened those 2.5 hours leading up to when Bean joined, but I do know that they were saying some good things. So let me throw it to you first about your thoughts on how that went down and what you think about that.
Man, it definitely picked up steam. I mean, it got the clicks. That's for darn sure. People now know what WGR is outside of Buffalo. That's a fact. I think Bean, there might be some insecurity in the fact that, sure, maybe he did feel like it was still a room that needed to be addressed, and obviously so, as we went ahead and signed Elijah Moore post-draft. Now, I think that was already in the works. But this receiver class this year, if you didn't get a guy in the first 2 rounds, unless you were banking on doing what the Chiefs did and getting Jalen Royals somehow in the 4th round, you weren't going to really find that guy in this draft. It was kind of a weaker receiver draft. So to me, I felt like the positions of need first were D tackle, corner, and edge. And we did that. We took care of those positions in the first 4 rounds. So I'm okay with the fact that we did not take a wide receiver in this draft until round 7, who's going to fill that special teams value need, right? You weren't going to find that game-changing guy. The one dude that I really would have considered in the 2nd round would have been Kyle Williams, who actually went to New England. And it's funny because, Kyle Williams, the name Kyle Williams here in Buffalo is the defensive tackle, but this Kyle Williams, the receiver from Washington State, is essentially what John Brown was to us in 2019. I think he could have been a really nice fit. I think that's the one thing this offense is sort of missing, is that true separator speed guy that can catch everything and make things happen. And that's, that would have been, I guess, the guy I would have went after if we were to take a guy in the 2nd round. Other than that, though, Mike, I just didn't see the need to force it with this one. So, I think, too, people are not giving Josh Palmer nearly enough credit for how good of a receiver he is. This dude was on pace to have a 1,000-yard season in 2023 prior to getting injured. And then last year, he did some good things. I know he had, a case of the dropsies at some times, but, that offense really wasn't conducive to his skill set either. He was playing in an offense that was ground and pound, more or less, and they utilized the slot receiver more so in that offense. And I know the Bills do too, but I think it's a different fit for Palmer here than it was in even Los Angeles, where they are a run-heavy, run-first team. So I think you got to put some faith in him. I mean, the dude's only 25 years old, and he has familiarity with playing against these really good squads and good corners, and he's had success against good corners, especially Trent McDuffie. And now, as far as Keon Coleman goes, I think people aren't giving him enough credit either. He came in as a really raw prospect, but what he was doing prior to his injury last year was really impressive to me. He was kind of mastering that slant route. He was getting open. He had a 100-yard game. He mossed Tariq Woolen. I think it's okay to feel like those two guys should be your starting outside receivers going into this year. They should be. I mean, Keon Coleman was nearly a 1st-round pick, and Josh Palmer was a week 1 free agent signing. So the fact that you're still demanding more receivers even after that, I understand you're justified to do that, but also put some faith in these guys. Like the Bills should feel good about the receiver room. You know, you addressed it. You signed Josh Palmer, and I know it's not the sexiest name, and it's not like the Randy Moss signing or anything like that, but we need to put some pressure on these guys to produce, and I think they will, and hold them to it. And if they don't, so be it. I'll eat my words, but I actually like this receiver room a lot, and I don't think it's as bad or nearly as bad as what people are saying. I think it's actually better than what it was last year going into the season.
So I agree. And Brandon Bean, hopefully, I know you listen to our show all the time. And if you ever want to join us, we would love to have you.
Yeah, come on.
And we have nothing but good things to say about this draft. However, I think Bean could have approached it a little differently. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. And
Sure.
these two guys were not the only one talking about wanting a receiver. I think every Bills podcast out there, including ours at some point,
Yeah, we're
talking about getting a wide receiver, getting that over the top guy. And so to have him go on there and just come in heated, to me, it's like, hey guys, I heard what you're saying. I respect your opinion, but let me tell you why I think you might be wrong. You come in with that. You basically come in with that opening line, and none of this gets to where it went to. Right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. And he had good points. I mean, yeah, everyone eats. We scored 30 points, 8 straight games, but guess what? We didn't score 30 points when we lost in the championship. Potentially, if you had a guy that could take the edge, over the top on that 4th down play, maybe that would have been the guy you went to that, when we ended our season. Again, Mina Kimes, I respect her. Love her show. She was asked the same thing. It's kind of joked. I think she said, well, I hope Brandon's not listening to this. And she said, but yeah, at some point, in my heart, I wanted the Bills to go get that speed guy. And it didn't have to be in the first 2 rounds. Like you said, Jake, I think after the 4th round is where things kind of fell off. You didn't get a receiver by the 4th round. You probably weren't. And Bean could have also said, guys, this is not the only place we can address this situation. Right. And look, we signed Elijah Moore. Not really. I don't know. He's a smaller guy, 5'9", but he had a lot of receptions. Kid is good. So I like the addition to the team. I'm just saying, I just think Bean could have approached it a little differently and not gotten it to where it was. And I felt bad for the WGR guys. I really did. I don't listen to them all the time. I don't know. I'm sure they're giving their opinions like everybody else does. But, and I believe everyone has a right to their opinion, wrong or right. So that's my take on it. And again, Brandon, you did a fantastic job. Love this draft. So don't hold it against us if you ever listen after the show tonight. When you and if you text me, text something good, please.
Yeah. How about Tony coming in hot here? He said, "What are you talking about? Amari Cooper was one of the best receivers in the league last year. Sad to see him leave after he led the league in injury minutes and routes run without a catch." I'll tell you what, Tone, the respect he still commanded on the field going up against these number 1 corners was enough for me to feel like he was an impact, even though the stats weren't necessarily there. He was dealing with a wrist injury too all last season, and supposedly, he had gone back and forth with potentially having season-ending wrist surgery. So I think that injury it clearly was a lot worse than what we even knew. But that's a great comment. I know your beef with Amari Cooper. You think he's washed.
He said he was washed when we got him. Yes. So John, yes, exactly. We allowed 30 points. That's why Brandon, we had middle of the pack defense. But I will say this again. I go back to that AFC Championship game. The defense made a stop and got us the ball back with a chance to win the game. And I don't know about you guys. If I went going into that game, I said if we had the ball last with a chance to win the game, I felt really good about that. And we weren't able to get it done. So again, everyone has a right to their opinion. Tony, you have a right to your opinion. You were wrong about Amari Cooper. I agree with what Jake was saying. They were having to give him attention. But cut Cam Weston. Come on.
Cut Cam. That train has really picked up some steam here. Weston's on board
you
now
know
with
what?
the Trek. Unbelievable.
It's going to be more difficult to stay on this team. So
it could happen.
You never know. All right.
I
So
love
let's,
what Steve says here too. I really wanted to address this because the Elijah Moore signing.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I was really curious too, just to see like what the breakdown was in terms of where he lined up last year with the Browns, and it was really interesting to me because to me Elijah Moore has always been known as more of like that slot gadget guy. Last year with the Browns, I think he had 490 snaps in the slot, and then he had, or maybe it was 490 total snaps. But anyways, it was pretty close in terms of outside alignment and inside alignment. So he did line up outside quite a bit last year with the Browns, and he had some really good games, by the way. Caught 61 passes last year, career highs. He's still only 25 years old. He ran 4.35, Mike, and he's got decent size himself. So I think it's a great signing. I mean, it's only up to 5 million in an inflated wide receiver market for a young former second round pick. Come on now. That's a great move. Gotta love it.
So Elijah Moore, you said he's got good size. I feel like I read something. He's like 5'9". What is he really?
Yeah, you know what? He might be like 5'10", buck 80 something. Let me actually pull that up. Let me get
But
the
you're
actual
right.
statistics for you.
Yeah.
Elijah
But again,
Moore.
like you said, he's had some really good years with some
5'10", a buck 80. Exactly.
with some bad with some
So yeah, I
bad
take that back.
quarterbacks. So I do like the signing for sure. 100%. Let's see here. Cody says Bills add another wide receiver. What's new? Cody, I tried to listen in. I did. I said hi to you last night on your live show, your Dynasty show. You guys were live for a long time, and there's a lot of stuff in Dynasty football, Jake. And it was above my head. I'm gonna have to have a
Yeah.
one-on-one with Cody after sometime to kind of understand all that they were going through. But it was a good show, and love giving Cody some time because he's done so much for our channel. So good
Hell
stuff
yeah,
there.
Cody. Appreciate
Yeah.
you, brother. Yeah, what's your take on? Actually, I'm curious. What's your take on the Elijah Moore pick, the signing of Elijah Moore? You like it, or you
Love
think
it.
it's a
Like
good
it.
fit? I know fantasy wise, it's tough with the Bills because it is an everyone eats type of roster with the layout. But yeah,
Yeah.
want to know what your prospect is with him.
All right. Well, been going for an hour. I want to finish with one final topic, and hopefully, some of the folks in the chat has seen this movie, and hopefully, some that rewatch this have seen the movie. The movie Sinners came out, starring with Haley Steinfeld, Michael B. Jordan starring in that movie, and I think it came out April 18th. I think there was the release date somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of conversations about Haley Steinfeld in this movie. So as I'm getting reviews, I always use Rotten Tomatoes. Reviews are fantastic, 95%. I'm starting to see people say things like, I don't know if you saw the memes too, Jake. They were coming out left and right. Josh Allen before the movie, Josh Allen after the movie. Did you see any of those things?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen
Okay.
it. It's like saying how special of a man it takes a special man to deal with what Josh Allen has had to deal with over the last 3 months or something.
So, dude, I mean, all right. So I go see the movie today. I know we're doing this show, and I've heard enough. I even was sticking up for Josh. I'm commenting. I find myself commenting, and I never do this for what other people are saying. Like some people saying, well, Josh should be worried. There's great chemistry between Haley and Michael B. Jordan. He's a very good looking man. Josh should be extremely worried because, football players and actresses or actors, they don't usually last. And then he's like, yeah. And then movie stars, they actually are better together. So I'm thinking, I respond to him, are you serious? Is this a serious thing? So Jake, I had enough. I had to go to the movies. I had to be my own critic here. I have to go. And dude, I want everyone to see this movie. I'm not gonna spoil it. If after you've seen it, you want to hit me up on the side and talk to me about what I thought. I will say this: it was done very respectfully. There was nothing Josh Allen has to worry. There was nothing in this movie. I see things on regular TV at night that make me like cringe more than what I saw here. There was literally nothing, Jake. That was a big deal. So if you see anyone commenting that Josh Allen has to worry, I'm not going to tell that dude or person, whoever is saying that, to get a life. Is all I'm saying.
So the wedding's still on, is what you're telling
The
me.
wedding is still on. Oh my God.
All right,
it was
good.
so, it was done so well, so respectfully. mentally, and there was nothing that like I said, I've seen stuff on regular TV, and she had a big part, but she, the I will say this: the acting was phenomenal. Michael B. Jordan played two roles. They were twin brothers, Smokestack. One was named Smoke, one was they call
Love
him
it.
Stack, right? He
Yeah,
played both those characters, and they're in the same scenes together. And it's just amazing what technology can do these days. It was
that is
fantastic.
cool.
Haley played Mary, and all I'll say is that Mary came back. This was done in 1932, Mississippi. She came back after her mom had died, and she had had a relationship with Smoke. No, sorry, with Stack. She had a relationship, and then it goes from there. So I'm not going to tell anything else.
I
Josh
love that,
Allen should
Cody.
worry more about Jake Podger than Michael B. Jordan. I love that one.
Absolutely love
But it's a
that.
good movie.
Totally.
It's a horror movie, vampire movie, and again, I'm not going to ruin anything for anybody. Go see it, and of
I'm gonna
course,
go see it.
yeah, go
I'm gonna go
check it
see it.
out. I'm sure it'll be out in streaming probably in a couple months. Most movies are these days if you don't want to wait. But I had to see it. I was getting so fed up with what I was seeing on social media, and they're
Don't
all
do our
wrong.
queen like
They're,
that or a
they're
king like that.
all so wrong. Get a life, people.
Yeah.
What we got
Cody, I'm
here?
sorry about your Blues, by the way, man. I know that's tough,
Oh, what
brother.
happened? What was the score
They
of that
blew
game?
it. They were up by 2 goals, I believe it was, and then within like 2 seconds left, Winnipeg knotted it up, and they went to overtime, and Winnipeg won.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
brutal. So last night I was watching the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Rockies going at it, right? Or Colorado Avalanche
Avalanche. Yeah,
going at it, and Avalanche was pretty much dominating that game most of the game. They were up 2-0 going into the third. Dallas gets back to 2-1, and then they get a lucky break. The guy made a great play, great rush up the ice, swings around and it goes off of the defender's skate, ties it up at 2-2. It's about 7 minutes left, and I had to leave. But then I get home, and I'm like, oh my God, Dallas did it again. So the Dallas, I think it was either their team or their head coach. They had not lost. They were 7-0 in their last 7 game. And then the crazy
crazy.
thing, Colorado was 0-5 in their last 7th game playoff. And I thought they were going to finally break it, but Dallas came back, won that game, and won in overtime. Good stuff.
Man, nothing like playoff hockey. They do say the 2-goal lead is like the most dangerous lead in hockey because for whatever reason, the teams always surge back that are down. I don't understand it.
Yeah, Bandits
Yeah,
about
how
to
about them
advance.
Bandits? Yeah, they're winning right now. I think it was 11-9 last time I looked here. I've been keeping track of it. I watched Friday night. Yeah, you got to love it. The only championship team here in Buffalo are the Buffalo Bandits. And I'll tell you what, Mike, those games, I don't know if you've ever been to one, but it is electric. Like they sell out every single game here in Buffalo. It is awesome. Great
Yeah.
atmosphere, great for the kids. So much fun. We
So
love lacrosse.
I haven't been there. So when I lived there, there were no Buffalo Bandits. There were the Buffalo Stallions, the indoor soccer team. And yes, I would go to that every Friday night.
Yeah.
It was just a great atmosphere. And my son, Brandon, says he loves going to the Bandits game. He says
Oh,
it's
it's
more
fun.
exciting than seeing the Sabres and the Bills games. He just
Yeah.
loves it, the
Yeah.
atmosphere there. Have you been there? Do you get a
Oh yeah,
chance
I
to go and
actually
see him in
thought
person?
about getting seasons. We took little Maxie. She's got her
Yeah.
own jersey and everything, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it. Now, this past time we went, she was a little overtired, and every time they score a goal, they play the goal horn like they do for the Sabres.
Yeah.
It caught her off guard a few times, so she
Oh,
started crying.
uh,
One of those things. But still in the market for some season tickets. I might get them next year. Just pull the trigger. Why not?
really can't be that much, right? Can't be too bad at
No,
home.
not bad. Yeah, like $300, depending on where you're sitting.
Didn't they
Get 10
win? How
games.
many titles have they won since they've been in Buffalo? They won last year, right? I think they won it last
They're
year.
back-to-back champs, actually.
Wow. Wow.
So last year, the previous year, and then back to 2008, I think it was, and then in the 90s too. So, and it's cool because Johnny Tavares, who is probably the best Buffalo Bandits lacrosse player ever, is now the head coach, and he's won back-to-back championships as the head coach. Pretty cool.
I've always said that, like, I would love to have a couple guys, girls, I don't care who, come on and talk about the Bandits, give us updates on that because it is exciting. Now, I haven't
Great.
seen them, Jake, but I've seen lacrosse. Lacrosse is big out here in California, and
Is
of
it
course,
really?
I've seen some college games as well, and it's exciting. Love it, 100%. And then
Yeah.
indoors just brings that different. It can bounce things off the sidewall and all that. So good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. Lacrosse dudes, Steve saying lacrosse dudes are some bad dudes. I just started to watch these guys. I'm nuts. And I could be wrong. Am I right that they have the boards up sort of like with indoor soccer where you can bounce things off the side, or is that not the case? Yeah, they
no,
have
that's
that.
right.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So that has a lot more, right? You can throw the ball hard and have it bounce back right to you.
Yeah.
And, oh my goodness.
Rip it.
That ball, dude, is too hard. I'm telling you right now, the fact that, and they can whip that thing easily. I gotta say, I don't know what it's clocked at. What's it clocked at? 100?
Easily, yeah. And I'll tell you what, you see those goalies. Those goalies are freaking. They look like the fattest guys I'm playing. I don't know how they move in that gear, but yeah.
I wouldn't want to get hit with one of those for sure.
Right. The best is when the ball gets stuck in their gear and they have to like dig for it and get it out. Hilarious. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And you know who was there? Because I saw him doing interviews. Was Mr. Where is he? I'm thinking on there. Bill's Bunker. Dwayne Carter, the GOAT, today at the softball game. Was that it? The charity game?
He won the home run derby, Mike.
Was Josh there? I need to know. Was Alan there today? So there you go. Josh is the defending champ, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he had I'm assuming it was conflict with the schedule or something like that. I mean, he always goes every year. So, yeah, that was definitely surprising, but I'm sure there was a reason for it. Yeah, Bill's Bunker, shout out to Jake. Go follow him, man. He's been grinding. He's in the lab. By the way, Jake, how'd you get those 3 microphones to like different news stations? You had Spectrum News, Channel 2, and what, Channel 4 or something like that? I saw you with the microphone out there. How did you pull that one off?
Did you see his shorts? He asked Micah Hyde and who was the guy? Mitch Trubisky. And who
weirdest thing to sign the autograph?
The third guy?
Dorian Williams.
Yeah. What was the oddest thing that somebody asked you to autograph? I did think it was interesting that someone, I think it was Dorian Williams, was asked to autograph a baby.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Autograph my baby. On that one. How funny is that, right? It's too much. And then Cody saying the fastest shot recorded was 127. I'll tell you what, that puck, the hockey pucks, this thing that would scare the heck out of me as well, getting hit with that. But this ball here is extremely hard and will hurt.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes I wonder if the goalies have enough on them. I know they do. Yeah, but, exactly. Right. Yeah. I hope everything. And then we got Tony coming back in under his other name. Tony likes to come in with 3 different names here. Did you guys watch Allen and Rom versus Nicholson and Horvath in golf? No. Was that this week? Maybe that's what he was doing. Was that this weekend?
No, that was a YouTube video. So I don't know if you saw the prank video on Phil Mickelson that Josh did with the rangefinder. He set it to kilometers or whatever, meters or something instead of yards. And absolutely hysterical. I'll have to send you the clip after this, Mike. It was awesome. Just typical Josh Allen clowning around fashion.
I'll check it out. Jake's saying those mics weren't mine. They were part of the Scrum style press conference interview. I had mine still. He said event was awesome. Really excited for tomorrow's content. It was kind of cool that, I mean, how were you able to talk to the players? Did you have to pay special, or did you just hang around after the event, or was that before the event? Kind of cool. And then 5-6, the best YouTube golf match ever.
Yeah.
You're making me want to check this out.
Grant's channel, I believe he posted it, but yeah, I did watch that. I didn't watch the whole thing, but yeah, the prank was hysterical. Made the whole thing.
Well, all right. Well, listen, everyone, that kind of does it for the show. I hope thank you for joining us. It's always a lot of fun when you guys join us out there in the chat. Again, hit that like button for us. Smash it real quick. Just take 1 second. Smash it. If you're new to the channel, drop a nickel on that subscribe button. We're kind of stuck, Jake. We're kind of stuck at about 1,920 subscribers. We've been there for months now. We get a couple, we lose a couple. And I would love for the folks out there to help us get to that goal of 2,000 and share it. Let people know. It's free. It's absolutely free. And if you're a Bills fan, come on over. You're getting some of the best content from Mr. Jake Podger. Like, I know people have already done their shows about the draft, but they don't get Jake Podger's opinion over there. You got to come here to get Jake. Nobody knows football better than this man, especially when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. So
I appreciate that, Mike.
Help us get that word out. Help us get to that goal. And hey, if you watch us on YouTube, by the way, I was very impressed. I was going onto YouTube on the page there. Nickel City Mafia Facebook page. Sorry. And if you're over there, we get quite a few views. We get some shares over there. And if we could just get some of the folks, I mean, come on over to the YouTube side, and it's on your phone. Most phones have it. Hit that, hit
Right?
that subscribe up for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Jake. Any closing thoughts from you, my friend?
Closing thoughts. I'm going to give this overall draft that we just had. I'm going to go B plus. You know, I think I was a little harsh initially. I gave it a B. I think B plus. I'm more optimistic as we go here, and really, really excited to see what this defense can do this year. I think they're going to take it to the next level. You know, exciting times in the kingdom, Mike. It's going to be great.
Yep.
Football's upon us, baby.
All right.
Schedule release, by the way, next week.
Okay.
Already.
All
Crazy.
Right.
The 14th, I believe it is.
All right. Well, I'm giving them Bean an A. Because why? Because I want them to come on join us. I mean, Bean, it was a fantastic draft. We didn't talk about wide receivers at all. And go check out Sinners, Haley Steinfeld. Fantastic movie. Go check it out and then give me your thoughts. All right. So everyone have a good one. We'll see you next Sunday. Same time. Same bad channel.
Great.
Have a good night. Go Bills.
Go Bills.